Hello there. Um, right now I am in a weird location because this is actually a very isolated area in my hometown. It's pretty cool. I mean, just look at that. You could see right behind me there's fields of burnt ashes. Well, that's slash and burn, what you otherwise call shifting cultivation. And over there is a field where I'm gonna shoot the video. I hope that'd be good. I hope you like it too because today is something different. Today I'm going to narrate a Greek mythological story. So let's get started and get right into it. So the story that I'm going to tell today, oh my gosh, the stones on my path and it's kind of getting difficult to walk. Look at that. What would you say? Alright, so the Greek mythology that I'm going to narrate today, it's about the big three. That is how Zeus, Poseidon, and Hades was born, and how Cronus, the god of chaos, was destroyed. So it's gonna be really interesting, but sometimes it gets awkward because Greek mythology has got no reasoning at all with Earth Mother Gaia. So there is no scientific reasoning into the Greek myth, so you need to kind of imagine it away. Well, the source for this particular story, with respect to me, is Percy Jackson and the Greek gods. The entire Greek myth narrated in Percy's point of view. So you should actually check it out. It's available in online and um, bookstores. It's called Percy Jackson and the Greek gods. And there's also a sequel to it, Percy Jackson and the Greek heroes. Obviously, everyone know about it. And that's about Greek heroes. Enough of that, let's start with the mythology. Let's start with the very basics. Oh my god. Actually, I'm into somebody's site. I mean, this is like a housing lane. Just undeveloped to be precise. Okay, so what happened was long ago, and when I say long ago, I mean millennia ago, there was nothing in the universe. Nothing except chaos. There was no universe to be precise. So it was all energy and all power and all unreasonable stuff like chaos. And chaos was getting really lonely, and you just need to picturize chaos like a person. So chaos one day, being really lonely, made his greatest mistake. He created a planet, a planet called the Earth, or what you call in Greek Gaia. Now Gaia was like a female version of the Earth, and she could actually take a humanoid form as well as, walk around in her own body. And now again, this got no scientific reasoning, but it's just the way it is. And then what happened was a little more weird. Chaos turned an adolescent. Now she was a teenager, and she was finding really lonely. She needed some guy with whom she could live for the rest of her life. In other words, she wanted a boyfriend whom she could marry and have children. Now that's how the worst part of the humanity started. Until then it was just power, but now there was love and affection and desire. Now every bad thing in Greek mythology happens when there is desire. So what happened was a little weird, but Gaia wanted to have a male, and she wanted to like have one who is ideal for everyone. So she requested Chaos, and Chaos created a male planet who could actually befriend Gaia and marry her in the future, and he was called Uranus. Now, yeah, there were no other planets, believe it or not. There was just Earth and Uranus. In fact, this is scientifically true. Why am I not getting a proper light? Yeah, so this is scientifically true. Um, the planet which is the oldest is Uranus, but still, I don't know how Earth ends up over there. But still, it's just how it is. Let me sit down over here somewhere. Oh, all right. So what happened later on was not a good thing. Alright, so now this is the best part. Chaos married, sorry, Gaia married Uranus, as they were already decided, and they had children. But the thing about Earth and Uranus was that they were far away, and they had much more hatred than love. So the affection never turned out, and they never had good children. I don't know the scientific reason for that too, but somehow the children the Earth and the Uranus had were ugly. I mean, when I say ugly, I mean literally ugly. Not like as ugly as the shadow I am right now, but at least ugly. Come on. I'll place my phone over here. Why am I appearing like a shadow? Let's see. Cool. No. Alright, now this is good. So what happened was their first set of children were the Titans. The Titans were like the most powerful and gigantic and the first ever humanoids ever born. So it was basically millennia ago when they had just 5 children. There were 5 Titans. The most prominent of them was the eldest called Cronus and the youngest called Rhea. Now they weren't actually that prominent back then because having 5 children is not a good thing. I mean, if you just imagine a family with 5 children, there's a lot of chaos. So it's just like representing their dad. Later on, what happened? Oh my gosh, there's no light at all over here. And when I keep my hands over here, it strains. Anyways, so later on, what happened was the children, the big three, Zeus, Poseidon, and Hades, they kind of never made it out because before that there was just Cronus and Rhea. And the thing about Cronus and Rhea, they both were attracted to each other like the souls made in heaven. I mean, they wanted to marry right away. I mean, you don't expect that now, right? I mean, the kids of the same family don't marry each other. I know, but that's how it worked out. Cronus and Rhea were married, and then started the greatest history because Uranus and Gaia started to have troubles with their life. Now I'll just get up. Yeah. Cronus and Rhea had troubles because they started to have disputes. Now, Cronus didn't want more children. I mean, I'm not talking about Cronus and Gaia right now. I'm talking about Gaia and Uranus. So I'm sorry about that. But Gaia and Uranus Gaia wanted more children. Uranus didn't want any more children because his already born children were ugly. I mean, Titans are ugly. They're like huge, gigantic warrior forms of humans. So they started to fight over it. And then one day, Gaia thought like their relationships parted. There were more planets. Uranus was really far away from Gaia, and Gaia could not bear it. So she thought there was only one way to patch up the relationship, patch up the marriage, and that was to have more children. So one day she called Uranus for a feast, and Uranus did come for the feast, and then they both had more children. So they made love, yeah, and then what happened is really weird. They had 100 more children. 100 more children, and now the children were even more uglier than the rest. I mean, I wish I could place the camera somewhere over here. Anyways, so the children now born were the Cyclops, and Cyclops isn't really my good choice of the definition of beauty because they are this huge giants with one eyeball. I mean, they have just one eye in the middle over there. I'm not at all visible. Yeah, there's one eye over there, and they are like really ugly. They eat humans. They eat about just about anything, and they're really violent. So now they had to deal with 100 cyclops. So now they had 105 children, which is not a good idea. So they had more fights, then again more disputes, and then again more children. Because for Gaia it was basically children and the end of dispute, but it didn't really work out the way she had planned. Because when everything turned out the way it had to, they had more children and they fought more. Uranus thought it was all because of Gaia, because Gaia was the one bearing the children, and if she could bear such ugly children, she didn't ought to be Uranus's wife. And there were more beautiful planets back then. So they kind of broke apart, but Gaia again felt lonely. She wanted to have a husband with whom she could be for the rest of her life, which was actually immortality or eternity. So she again convinced Uranus to have more children, because having more children would make their relation or bond much tighter. So yeah, Uranus did come over in the evening. They had dinner and they made love, and then they had 1,000 more children. Now just believe it, 5 Titans, 100 Cyclops, and now the next 1,000 were the Briarees. Now Briarees are the worst and the most ugliest monsters you could ever consider, because they are Cyclops basically, but they are smaller Cyclops. Okay, their height is smaller, they have one eyeball, and they have 1,000 arms, and all the arms originate from the spinal cord, and they are like the scorpion dews or the centipedes, I don't know what you call it, but they have 1,000 arms. So they were the most ugliest children they ever had, and now they had to deal with 1,000 children like that, so 1,000 Briarees. So now they had basically 1,105 children. Just to recapitulate, there was five Titans, 100 Cyclops, and 1,000 Briarees. Now Uranus was done with it, and he said, "I'm out of here," and he just went away, and he never came back. Gaia thought she was cheated. Now, just for the sake of it, Gaia is one of the most aggressive goddesses ever born. So she thought Uranus ought to have a punishment. He deserved a curse or something like that. So she obviously didn't have anyone to help her out, because Uranus was all really strong and tough, and he was supposed to be killed. So death was basically his punishment. Yeah, no, actually killing is not really possible because Uranus was immortal, but Gaia had a proper plan. She discussed about this with her lovely children, 1,105 kids to be precise, and they all agreed. That evening, they called their dad, Uranus, out. Well, the plan was to chop him into pieces and put him in a stew and eat him up. But when Uranus arrived, everything was like really calm. He just came over, he had dinner, and he was like, "Yeah, I miss you too, but I need to go anyway." And then nobody had that courage to kill their own dad, who was one of the strongest humanoid form ever. No, not even the thousands Briarees or 100 Cyclops, because all of them believed Uranus to be their dad, and they didn't really want to kill their dad. I mean, would you do that? No. So nobody had that courage. Gaia was getting all panicky because she had asked her Titan kids, the 5 Titans, to kill their own dad, and they weren't really coming up. And Gaia was like all frightened. Why aren't they coming? And finally, one child did come. Now he was the youngest of the Titans, one for whom she didn't even knew who he was, but he was the husband of Rhea. He was Kronos. That's how Kronos gets popular. He was around 12 years back then when he first took the sword. His dad was having dinner, and he was like, "Hey, what's dinner?" And then Gaia was like, "You." Hey, did I hear correct? I thought you said you. Yes, you. And then Kronos comes out of the place. He chops his dad into 1,001 pieces and puts up everything into stew and eat them up. That's it. The end. They just eat him up, and once everything is eaten up, only one thing is remaining, and that's his penis. I should actually censor that word now, but that was his penis, and it was actually inedible, so they had to dispose it off in a safe place so that no other animals ate it, because penis was the life point of Uranus, and if it actually survived, it would make more children. Oh my gosh, that's really gross, but that's how it works out in Greek mythology. So everything was eaten up. The kids ate their dad for dinner, and then Cronus threw away the penis in a river. In the river, I think it's in the Poseidon's region in the Atlantis, somewhere in the Atlantis. He threw away the penis. So, and then you will actually see what happened to that penis, because that actually the penis ended up um having more children with the river. The river was Poseidon, and they had Aphrodite, the goddess of love and beauty. Oh my gosh, that's really gross, but still, that's how the story is. So forget about that now, and let's just have a look at the main plot. So then, what happened? Oops, shadow everywhere. Really, this location isn't that ideal for videos, at least not as ideal as I thought, but it's okay, I can work out with it. Okay, so what happened was the children were victory. I mean, Gaia was really happy and pleased about her kids who had defeated and eaten up their father, and she had a revenge complete and successful. So yeah, everyone helped in chopping their dad, of course, because he was like the beef that night. But the one who had the courage to first come and pick the dad was Cronus. So Cronus was supposed to be awarded. So Gaia said, what do you actually want? And Cronus was like, I have a wife, Raya. I am there. I'm probably the youngest. I know that's really not possible. I mean, Cronus, when he grew up, he would never be the king, because the eldest would be the king, and then the eldest children would be the queen. So Cronus really didn't have that opportunity. He was the youngest. So he said, why not I'd be the king? Now Gaia was all flattered, and she was like, alright, whatever you want. So Cronus was declared the king of all gods back then. And then Cronus and Rhea had children. The children Cronus and Rhea had were in chronological order, of course: Hestia, Hades, Poseidon, and Zeus. Basically, Zeus, Poseidon, Hades, the big three, and Hestia. So with this, I will end the story over here, though it's not the end actually. I mean, Greek mythology is almost infinite, but I think this will do for today. Oh my god, there are flies. Alright, so yeah, that'll kind of end the story. So it's basically the Cronus is crowned, he has a wife Rhea, and they have children: Zeus, Poseidon, Hades, and Hestia. We'll see what happened to those children and what happened to their dad, because the Greek family really didn't have that good track of good dads. I mean, every single dad ever turned out to be a bad guy. Chaos made the greatest mistake. I don't know if he's really dad or a mom. He's just power. And then Uranus was the ugliest. I mean, yeah, you would say, hey, that's injustice. I mean, the children chop their dad and eat them up in stews, so that was even more uglier. I understand you, but still, technically, they were bad. And after that, we have Kronos, who really wasn't my choice of the best dad ever. So I'll talk about Kronos and the other stories in the next summer vlog with his children, of course, and I'll see you guys later then. Until then, with a big shout out to a bad lighting with shadows and bad location, which I will never ever choose in my next videos. I'll see you guys later. I'll end the video over here. So until then, bye.